Star Trek, the ultimate franchise. These are the podcasts of the Wakefield brothers. Their 16-year mission to watch every production, to seek out life lessons and new inspirations, to boldly watch like most fans have watched before. Welcome back to Temporal Directive, the Star Trek fan podcast rewatching the entire franchise in chronological order. I'm Gary.
And I'm Tom.
And this week we're watching Star Trek Enterprise's Sleeping Dogs.
Let Them Lie? Is that...
Yeah, that's pretty much where it comes from, yeah. So this week's episode, Sleeping Dogs, was written by Fred Decker and directed by Les Landau. Now, this is his only Enterprise credit, but he directed a lot of Star Trek before this. He did 9 episodes of Voyager, 14 episodes of Deep Space Nine, and 22 episodes of Next Gen.
Oh, wow.
And, are you ready for this?
Okay.
He also directed the Next Generation interactive video board game video.
As in the one we played all the time.
The one we played all the time.
And the one I have like 3 copies of in the cupboard.
Oh my God. Yes, that one.
Fuck yeah.
He was the director.
Hell yeah.
There you go.
I like this guy. This guy's awesome.
Sleeping Dogs aired January 30th, 2002, and the IMDb synopsis reads, Enterprise tries to rescue a Klingon ship from sinking into a gas giant.
That'll be it, right?
That's it. That's the whole IMDb synopsis.
Great.
Do you remember this one at all?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
Do you know what? I don't remember this one either.
No.
I mean, maybe I will when it starts, but at the moment I'm like, gas giant Klingons? No, don't know. But yeah. All right. Well, that's it. I guess we'll go watch it.
Radio.
And we're back from watching Enterprise's Sleeping Dogs. And they really should have let this one lie. Wait. Okay, wait, I'll do it again. They really should have let this one lie. Well, first impressions, Tom. What did you think?
It wasn't terrible, but not great. Like, not as good, nowhere near as good as last week's. Obviously.
Yeah, last week set a pretty high bar.
It did.
And this one did not reach it.
Not at all.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, it was fine.
Yeah, the story
But it's just
was,
kind of forgettable.
yeah, that would be the word. Like,
Which is why I probably never didn't remember it.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, let's jump straight into it then.
Alrighty.
We open on Hoshi and Reed in the armory doing some target practice with a new phaser.
Very Star Wars-esque.
Yeah, well, yes. But also, didn't Janeway have one of those things? Didn't her and Seven used to do target practice with those floaty balls things?
That's a good question.
I thought you were the Voyager expert.
Yeah. Well, I don't recall Janeway having them. I remember.
Well, they were in the holodeck. She didn't have them.
No, I'm aware of what you meant.
I mean Janeway had balls.
Yeah.
Although she did.
She certainly did. I remember Guinan and Guinan having playing that sort of target game with the balls and stuff.
Yeah.
Quite often.
Picard and Riker were in that target practice area as well.
Yeah.
But in my head, I remember Janeway and Seven doing target practice.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I
doesn't
think
matter.
you're right. I
Doesn't matter.
do remember a scene like that. Yeah.
Okay, what were we talking about? Right, they were doing target practice. New weapon, and Reed coughs a little bit and then says, "No, I'm fine." Which, of course, means he's going to be sick because no one on television coughs unless they're sick.
Pretty much.
Because if someone actually coughed in the middle of a sentence, they would make them reshoot it.
Yeah. Cut, redo.
Yep.
Ruined it. You ruined it.
Exactly. So
Shale.
if you cough on purpose, clearly there is an intention behind that, and that intention is that you are going to be sick later in the episode.
Exactly.
They notice that the ship drops out of warp, and Hoshi ends the target practice to go to the bridge, even though she was not summoned. Yeah. We skip the credits and we go to the bridge, where there are waves of EM interference coming through from a gas giant, and the interference sounded quite familiar. And it is, in fact, the noise that the alien probe in Star Trek 4 makes when it's trying to communicate to the whales.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which is pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty cool. Are we saying that probe come from the gas giant? No.
I doubt it. I think...
But...
yeah.
So they send a probe into the gas giant, and the probe picks up a derelict, damaged ship.
Boom, boom, boom.
Which, of course, anyone who's a Star Trek fan watches this shot and says, that's a Klingon ship.
Instantly.
But apparently they didn't know that.
No, which is a surprise because they've run into the Klingons before, and I thought they were similar looking ships.
Well, I think they look similar.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess not.
Yeah, apparently.
Apparently not similar enough. Anyway, they didn't know it was a Klingon ship, so what a shock. They decided to get on board. Could be anyone. Could be anything. Who cares? Let's go.
Yeah. Might have just wanted to hide in the gas giant from them and saw them coming and went, shit, quick, into the gas giant. We don't want anything to do with them.
Might have been a quarantine ship.
True, yeah.
They might have had that old age disease that Pulaski had.
Fuck, I love Pulaski.
We cut to sick bay, and Reed is in there getting his diagnosis from Dr. Flock that he has a common cold. And Flock says you should get some rest, and he says, no, I'm going on this mission.
Yeah, let's just contaminate everything.
Make everyone sick.
Yeah. Like, did they not live through COVID?
We cut to Archer's ready room, and Hoshi comes in to volunteer for the away mission, saying, come on, you need a translator, don't you? And she says that she finally got her space legs. Anyway, Archer says, sure, get down on the launch bay and join, because T'Pol actually just asked for you anyway.
So he made her go through all that.
Yeah.
Like, because he asked her questions and said all sorts of things to make her awkward.
Probably a proud papa waiting for her to, like, walk.
Whatever. Whatever.
We cut to Hoshi, T'Pol, and Reed getting into their EV suits. T'Pol's making some comments to Hoshi about, if you don't feel comfortable wearing blah, blah, blah. Just stupid stuff. But Hoshi is gung-ho, making up for all her past talk. So she's talking about how she's really good with it now. Like, I really love this. I love this for me.
I'm so comfortable.
I'm so comfortable.
Send me out the airlock without one. I'll do anything.
Like, are you convincing them or yourself, love? Like, what are you doing? Then in the shuttle, they're doing the scans of the ship before they get there, and they estimate they've got about an hour at most. It's just boring. It's boring.
That whole episode's quite
It's just
like
kind
that.
of just boring.
And I think it's similar to the last one we watched that didn't have a secondary subplot. Because we said the same thing about the last one that was like that. It wasn't that the story was bad. It wasn't that. It's just something about it that was quite bad. And that one also didn't have a secondary story.
Yeah, that's true. We did say that. But that's just because these stories don't hold up, right? Because Dear Doctor didn't have a secondary story either. That was just Phlox with the crisis last week, and that was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Didn't need a second subplot or whatever.
Very good. But
Anyway.
that's it. If the story is not good enough to hold up on its own, and you don't have that secondary plot point, it's going to be shit.
Yep. If there's a whole bit about sitting in a shuttle heading over to a ship, and they make a point of shaking it pretty much for no reason, except for Hoshi to say, that wasn't so bad, was it? Yeah. That was the whole point?
Exactly.
That was the whole point.
The entire point to it was just that. And that is what's frustrating, is that it was an irrelevant thing. And as an audience member, it's completely pointless.
It's just boring.
Yeah, like it's boring. It's just air fill and it's nothing.
Yeah. Right. Well, let's rush through the rest of this episode. They approach the Klingon ship and dock. They get on board and they scan that there's some breathable air. So they open up their helmets. Don't take them off.
No.
Just open them up.
Which was very strange.
Mm-hmm. And Hoshi says there's a bad smell, but Reed can't smell it because he's got that cold. Hoshi does notice some writing on the wall and says this is deck 2. I think it was 2. And that it's written in Klingon. So as soon as she says Klingon, everyone pulls their guns out.
Yeah. Quick, get on the defensive.
Exactly. So they're scanning for the biosigns that they picked up before, and they find them at their very weak. They head to the bridge. They scan some of the unconscious Klingons, and they realize that they're sick. There's something wrong with them. And they sort of talk about what they should do. T'Pol's very much of the opinion that we should just leave. These Klingons want to die at their stations. To do anything else is dishonourable.
Yeah, which is kind of her just assuming the culture there, isn't it?
Well, the Vulcans know the Klingons better than the humans do.
Well, they do, but dying at your console in a gas giant is pretty obviously not really that honourable.
Well, it's probably not very honourable.
Yeah, I would have thought. So she's just assuming, no, we're better off just letting them die at their consoles and whatever, we'll just step out because otherwise it's not honourable. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right before we cut to commercial, we see the galley on the Klingon ship with a bunch of food of dead animals, and a Klingon woman walks out. Doesn't say anything. She just walks out of the fridge, and then it cuts to commercial. Black screen. Then we get Archer communicating with T'Pol from the bridge of the Enterprise, and he estimates there's about 30 minutes before the ship is going to be too deep into the gas giant to get out. So you've got 20 minutes to see if you can help the Klingons, then you got to leave. Paul says we should go now because why? What are we going to do in 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Which, she's not wrong.
Reasonable.
But the communication gets cut off and they're trying to decide what to do, and we see that Klingon woman from the kitchen sneaking up through the corridor. Very, I don't know, is that Klingon to sneak through the corridor and hide behind things?
Very stealth.
It's not. Anyway, that's what she does.
Yeah,
and she kind of sneaks up to see who's there, and they hear a noise. They turn around. That Reed goes after her. They get into a bit of a fight. Reed gets beat up by the girl. The Starfleet women shoot at the Klingon and hit the door, and the Klingon woman leaves in the Enterprise shuttle, leaving them stranded.
Yeah. Good help from Starfleet there.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad they were there to attack the one person who's awake.
Exactly. Don't yell out, we're here to help. We're, any of that. None of that. Just go straight on the fight.
Yep.
Yeah. This crew's really well trained.
Well, they got new weapons. They had to try them out, remember? So we cut to the bridge of the Enterprise, and they're trying to re-establish communications, and they see the shuttle coming out of the gas giant atmosphere, and they're trying to hail, and they're not answering, and the shuttle just flies past, and they're concerned, obviously, like, what the fuck's going on? And the shuttle starts hailing or sending out a message, and they tune into that, and they hear it in Klingon, and they put it through the translator so they know what they're saying, and the woman refers to the ship as Enterprise NX-01. Now, I don't know about you, but this is the third time that humans have interacted with Klingons. I have a feeling that learning to read human English has not been a priority for everyone in the Klingon Empire, but this bitch could.
Maybe they've been learning it since kindergarten.
Sure.
Yeah. No,
So it makes no sense that she can read what's on the outside of the ship.
No sense at all.
0 sense. Anyway, Enterprise gets the shuttle on their grappler and brings it on board.
So I have a question about that, right?
Yes.
Because we have an episode a while back where their shuttle got stuck down a hole. And
a couple of episodes.
Yeah, it's happened a few times. But they tried to use the grappler to get it out. Couldn't do that. And then the Vulcans come along and use their
tractor beam.
Yeah, use their tractor beam. So Vulcans have tractor beams.
Yes.
So Vulcans haven't shared any technology with humans at all.
No, not really.
Right. So not even stuff that doesn't do anything but helps them.
No.
Why?
Well, I think that's the Vulcan Prime Directive. Is that we're here to help you, but we're not going to give you things.
Yeah, well, I suppose that sort of makes sense. But I mean, wouldn't you think that like something like a tractor beam on your ship going out there would be something that you could educate their technicians on? Yeah,
but why is it their responsibility to give them technology and teach them how to use it?
Well, I'm not saying it's their responsibility.
So why would they do it?
Because why wouldn't they?
Because they don't want to share technology with other species.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get that. I mean, you wouldn't go to any random one like what the Prime Directive is set up. You know, you don't just go into some random planet and, you know, give them a bloody replicator. Mm-hmm. But a species that you're working with to do travel through space with.
They're not traveling through space with them. There's no federation. There's no alliance or anything.
No.
The Vulcans are just there to help guide them into space on their own. The Vulcans are like parents.
Yeah.
That are just like, you got to make these mistakes for yourself. You got to like learn to do these things for yourself.
Yeah, but even your parents...
I'm just going to be here to like use my tractor beam to get you out of the hole.
Yeah. I suppose your parents do just like pick you up from a party, but sometimes you get the second-hand car as well, right?
Well, sometimes.
And they've been there for 90 years.
Yeah.
So like, you know, some of the...
But they don't have emotions to be attached to it. It's not like it's not like parenting where you're like, oh, you know what, I'll give you this second-hand car because, you know, I'm not going to use it. It'll be good for you. I'll just be so glad to see you driving and being your own independent self. Vulcans don't give a shit about that. They're like, you want a car? Fucking build a fucking car.
Yeah.
You want a tractor beam? Figure out how to build a fucking tractor beam.
Yeah, okay. I get that. It just annoys me. No wonder the fucking humans don't like them.
Well, this is why the humans take over and start the Federation, and then everyone shares everything. Any other questions or concerns about the use of the grappler or the lack of tractor beam?
No, just found it interesting that kind of thing.
I'm glad you found it interesting. I'm hoping someone else did because fucking hell, you're about as boring as this episode. So they bring the shuttle on board and security come up slowly. But the shuttle's already there and the door's already open and they haven't even entered the room yet.
Yeah, that was smart.
So they're walking around trying to find her. She jumps out of the shuttle and attacks someone, and then they shoot her a couple of times, and she's unconscious. I assumed it was on stun.
Well, she didn't vaporize, so that was probably a good thing.
And Archer decides to take Enterprise down to the Klingon ship.
That was so dumb.
Well...
A shuttlecraft won't take it. All right, well, polarize the hull. Take the whole ship and we'll just jeopardize the entire crew instead. Leave the 3 for dead. Off you pop.
That would be a dark ending. It's not really the Starfleet way, is it? No.
Sometimes it should be.
I think in this instance, they probably could at least try a bit harder than... Oh, well, shuttle won't work. Off we go. Is there tea somewhere? Should we stop for a scone?
It's Con Planet, second to the left.
Yes. We're entering the Devonshire system.
Oh, fuck.
We cut to the Klingon ship, and Reed and Hoshi are trying to find an escape pod. T'Pol says, "Don't waste your time. Klingons don't have escape pods. Would be dishonorable to run away from a ship that was about to explode." T'Pol suggests trying to find a way to control the ship and get it to ascend. Hoshi starts translating a bunch of different stations. Reed only really pays attention when she says photon torpedoes.
Fucking Reed.
Yeah, any mention of weapons, and
if he's not talking about weapons, he only gets any emotion out of him or any reaction if someone else is mentioning weapons.
Yeah, that's right. And it didn't help when he had that episode where they were trying to give him some character development, and all we really got was he doesn't like to talk.
Yeah, that's it. He has no character.
Yeah,
and he likes pineapple.
But while they're talking, Reed does an impression of Commander Tucker. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, he says to quote our Commander Tucker, and then I can't remember what he says. He says something, but he says it with this southern drawl. And I'm just like, really? Really? Can you just do the quote without the accent?
Yes, he could have.
It just seemed really off to me.
Well, it was insulting.
It's just stupid.
Well, it was unnecessary.
It's just
I'm getting the feeling that you don't like this guy.
I don't really like this guy. Sorry.
I don't know what makes me think that.
It's maybe because I don't like him. They get a hail from Archer, who tells them that they're bringing the ship down to get them. Then we cut to the bridge, and Enterprise is not coping so well with that decision. So, yeah, the hull plating is buckling, and they're starting to feel the effects of the getting crushed and the pressure from outside. So Archer decides to go back out and says, "We'll figure out how to come back and get you." We cut to fake commercials. And then we see the Klingon in sickbay. Flock says that T'Pol was right. There is a toxin in her system. And they wake her up, and Archer and this Klingon woman are talking about how they tried to help the Klingons, and she says it would be better to be destroyed than fall into your hands, talking about the ship. And it just doesn't go well. She's not going to cooperate. They just sort of yell at each other and whatever.
Funnily enough.
Yeah. And so Archer gets frustrated and walks out, and as he walks out, he says, "Remind me to stop trying to help people."
I don't blame him.
Again, not a very Starfleet attitude.
Well, probably one that people share with him, that's for sure.
Yeah. We cut to the situation area at the back of the bridge, and everyone's analysing the Klingon ship on the sensors being displayed on the screen. Trip refers to the Klingon ship as a tough little ship.
Yeah, I got that.
Which is what Worf calls the Defiant, and what Riker called the Defiant.
Yeah.
No, Worf didn't call it that. It was Riker both times, wasn't it?
Tough little ship. Then Worf's like, little.
Yeah, that was but there was. I think Thomas Riker said "tough little ship" about the Defiant on the Deep Space Nine episode.
He did when he came in.
So must be a Riker thing. Anyway, it's a Trip thing in this episode. Trip suggests using braces to reinforce the hull of a shuttle to get down to the Klingon ship. And Archer says, "Yeah, let's do it." We cut to the Klingon ship. Hoshi has found a log from the Klingon captain who talks about the crew being ill. Doesn't know why, but we're falling into a gas giant. There's not really a way out. Blah, blah, blah. Stuff we know.
Could be pretty good poisoning to kill Klingons, doesn't it, really?
I guess. I don't know. I don't know their biology that well.
No, but they have redundant systems within their
They do.
bodies. Like, they got 2 of everything.
Correct.
So, like, that's pretty fucking good stuff if it takes out, like, 2 of you at once, basically.
Must be.
Pretty powerful stuff.
They find engineering on the schematic and head down there because I think they know what to do. They think it's got something to do with the port fusion injector, and if they can find that and fix it, they should be able to take control of the ship. So that's where they head. We cut to the shuttle on Enterprise, and Archer and Trip are doing some welding, and they're talking about the Klingons and how it's been a difficult relationship, and Archer doesn't understand why they're always fighting with them, and this is the 3rd time we've seen them, and every time they want to attack us. Trip says maybe it's time to think like a Klingon.
So does Archer often do welding on the ship? Like, doesn't he have a whole crew of engineers that could have been helping him?
Well, you know,
like,
Captain's going to do what he feels like. So if he wants to hang out with his buddy Trip and do some welding, I guess that's Captain's prerogative.
I mean, I'm sure it is the Captain's prerogative, but it's also the Captain's prerogative to say, get your engineering crew to do the welding while we sit around and have a meal and talk about what we need to talk about.
Picard wouldn't be a welding.
No, he wouldn't be. That's what I'm saying. It seems to be a very odd thing for the captain to go, I need to talk. Let's go somewhere where we have to pull down our welding masks, do welding, and then have intermittent 3-second conversations between our welding.
Well, yeah.
But anyway, just
that's how men talk, though, Tom.
Oh, that's right.
They have to be doing something.
That's right. It's got to be very blokey bloke stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah, so they're repairing the ship. They're like, I'm fixing the ship, but I want to talk about my emotions.
That's right. Yeah,
but I'm still manly because I'm doing welding.
You're not wrong.
We cut to Klingon engineering. Reed hurt himself. He's feeling a bit lightheaded. T'Pol says that he's dehydrated and they should find some water. And Hoshi says, I saw there was a galley on the map. I should go and get some. T'Pol says, you shouldn't be alone. So they leave Reed alone. And they head into the galley. They find all the same food that we saw a glimpse of before. And Hoshi is like disgusted by it all. She sees some dead gach and says, that looks like worms. T'Pol confirms that it is in fact worms. They hear some weird noises. They open one of the doors and there's some bad CG targs in there that are chained up ready for the slaughter.
Very, very bad.
Pretty rough. I'm sure it's just due to the time period it was made, but still. Hoshi starts to have some anxiety and sits down and starts to freak out a little bit. She says that she promised herself she wouldn't do this. T'Pol tries to make her feel better. Like, you know, this is a stressful situation. You're on an alien ship. Like, don't be so hard on yourself. Such a really compassionate Vulcan, right?
At least she tried, I suppose.
I guess. Hoshi said that she feels envious of T'Pol and wishes that she could suppress her emotions like the Vulcans do. And T'Pol shows her this meditation thing where she pictures herself on a turbulent ocean and you are in control of the waves.
You could do that, right?
I can't do that. I can't do that. I have no visual mind. I have aphantasia. I cannot visualize. So when T'Pol was doing this, I was like, do all the Vulcans do this? Because I could never learn Vulcan techniques.
Apparently not. You'd be fucked.
I'd be fucked.
No colonar for you.
No, that's right. Mm-hmm. Does that mean I miss out on the Ponfar too? Damn it.
You just won't have as much fun.
T'Pol says that when they get back to Enterprise that she will teach Hoshi some techniques to help her do that on her own.
We still talking about Ponfar? Or?
No, meditation.
Oh,
Fucking
right.
hell.
Sorry. My bad.
The ship shakes and they use their communicator to call Reed, who's still in engineering on his own. And there's some explosions going off and he says, we're going to get crushed. And then we cut to commercial. got to heighten that tension right before you go to commercial break to make sure people come back.
Yeah, that's how they used to. That's how they used to do it. All shows used to be like that.
Yeah. So back from commercial, Reed wants to use the weapons instead of the engineering stuff. So forget the injector. Let's blow something up. But they said it's too risky, but they head to the bridge anyway. Crazy. We cut to Archer, who's decided to do some studying of the Klingon culture and has learnt the word kapla, and everything else is stuff that he should have already known because this is not the first time he's had anything to do with Klingons.
No, might have wanted to crack a book before this.
Might have thought so. We cut to sickbay. Archer arrives and Phlox gives the Klingon the cure for the illness that they've been studying. Yep. And they go on to explain that the Klingons were poisoned by a species that they had just raided. So they took some ale from the species they'd raided and everyone shared the drink because it was part of the spoils, and that's how they got poisoned. But Archer, this is where Archer's studying comes in handy because he says, don't let your crew die in dishonor.
Yeah, really hit home.
Sure.
Like, come on.
Yep.
Like, it's just. Ugh.
Yep. That's exactly how I would describe it.
Yeah. Yep. It is, isn't it?
We cut back to the Klingon ship and they're shooting the Freytime torpedoes to try to get the shockwave from the explosion to make the ship ascend. And it doesn't work. They increase the yield. They talk about it, but they do it. And then that doesn't work either. So Hoshi's like, fucking blow them all up. What are we waiting for here, people? Explode all the fucking things.
Yeah.
We're going to die anyway. Fucking blow them up.
Yeah, I didn't come all this way just to fucking get crushed by a ship. I'll explode instead.
Exactly. So they do that and it works. They at least ascend enough to get in touch with Archer, who is on a shuttlecraft with the Klingon woman. And then they dock and they introduce her to the Enterprise crew. And then for some reason, Archer wastes some time hailing from the Klingon ship to say, can I get permission to disembark? Look at me, I'm on a Klingon ship. I'm a captain on a Klingon ship.
It also makes no sense.
Stupid.
It's just so dumb. It is dumb. Like, it just, yeah.
Get the fuck out of there.
Can't see my eyes rolling on the fucking...
You got the ship saved. You've got the Mercure. Now fucking get your people, get on your shuttle and fuck off.
Yeah.
What are you hanging about for? We cut to Archer coming back on board.
Nice cut, yeah.
Thank you. And the Klingon ship is coming out of the gas giant now, and they get hailed by that ship. And the Klingon captain, now that he's awake and well, he's like, surrender!
Yeah.
Surrender to the Empire! I'd be a good Klingon. And I don't know if you noticed the sound effects that were playing around this time, but it was very original series sound effects when the Klingons were talking. Yeah, it was great.
No, I didn't notice.
And Archer says, take what little honor you have left and go home.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, burn, Captain. You turned into one of them mean girls.
Stick that in your ridges and leave.
So we cut to decon. So they just sat in decon for a little bit longer, talking about how good it is to be clean and not smell.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And that's a wrap on this week's episode. So now that we talked about it, any thoughts?
It wasn't terrible.
Sorry?
It wasn't terrible. It was a bit slow. The story was all right, but it was just yeah, it wasn't great either. Like, I certainly wouldn't give it a high mark, but fucking hell.
I found this episode quite boring.
Yeah. Yep.
If I wasn't taking notes, I probably would have been on my phone.
It's definitely a mobile phone episode.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is a scroll on TikTok while I'm watching.
It's not one you'd go back to. It's not one
I'm not in a rush to go back to it.
No, because I mean, Star Trek a lot of the time, like I would say you're the same. I know you are. You know, you feel like you want to watch
You don't
Star.
know me.
I do know you. I've known you all my life. But Star Trek, you feel like watching Star Trek, so you pick episodes. Like you just
usually,
you just go. I feel like Star Trek, so I'm going to watch that one, or I'm going to watch one of the dozen or more that you have lined up in your head. This is not one of them.
No.
This one is so forgettable that you would just never ever go back to it.
Yep, it's pretty forgettable.
Yeah.
So life lesson. What's the life lesson for this one?
Let dead episodes lie. Help those who need it, regardless of whether they know they need it or not.
What if they don't consent?
It depends on what you're doing.
Like inject them with the vaccine even though they don't want it.
Well,
is that COVID? Are we back to COVID again?
Obviously, COVID.
Mandatory vaccines.
Yeah, mandatory vaccines. You're gonna take it.
Okay, so I guess don't compromise your morals and do everything you can to help others.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
And also conquer your fears from Hoshi.
Yeah, conquer your fears from Hoshi is definitely a good one as
All
well.
right.
Probably better than the other one in some regards. Because there is controversy to the first one. But I'm not saying force yourself. Sometimes your perspective can be greater than the other.
Yeah. All right, what are we going to rate this one? So for those at home, our examples of 1 episodes are Voyager's Threshold and Next Gen's Code of Honor. Examples of 10 episodes are Next Gen's Tapestry and DS9's Far Beyond the Stars. With that in mind, what are we going to rate this episode?
So it's a 2 or a 3?
I think it's a 2.
Yeah, it's got to be sitting amongst those.
For me, it's a 2.
All right. Yeah, I'm happy with a 2.
God. Here I thought we were getting better. We had a 7, a 7, and 9, and now we're back to a 2. Okay, I guess that's it then. Yeah. We're done. All right, we'll be back next week. In the meantime, you can find us on Facebook at Temporal Directive Podcast and on Instagram, just Temporal Directive, or you can get in touch via email at wakefield_productions@outlook.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode or anything Trek related, so please get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. And we'll be back next week with the episode Shadows of Pajem. Does that sound familiar?
It does.
Pajem was the planet from the Andorian incident.
Okay, yes.
So I'm going to guess we're getting some Andorian action next week.
Sounds good to me.
All right, we'll see you then. Live long and prosper.
Peace and long life.